It's our last episode for a while, so we need to make something a little special. Gumbo is one of those recipes that you're going to need to make a lot of because everyone's going to want more and more. It's a dish that's about bringing people together and being with the ones you love, which is so important in unprecedented times like these. You already know we're wasting time up here, so let's get down to the kitchen and figure out what we're going to need. Now, gumbo involves a lot of chopping, so first we're going to want to check if our knife is sharp enough like we did last week. Yep, that's plenty sharp. And we're going to chop into our large white onion. And we're going to use the same technique we did last week. Cut the top off, peel the skin off, get all of that off. Alright, cut it in half from the top to bottom, and then make a bunch of little cuts. And we're just going to dice it up, just like I said, the same way we did it last week. And we want to make sure you use all of the onion, don't let any of that onion go to waste. And give it another little chop after this, just to make sure everything's relatively even. Now, similar to last week, we're going to contend with bell peppers. And we're going to do the exact same thing we did as last week. We're going to cut them by the ribs, getting as little pith and as few seeds as possible. And we're going to clean them, of course, and we're going to do the same with our other one and find a little friend in one of these peppers that we're going to just get rid of. And I'm sure you don't want to see me chop bell peppers over and over again. You've seen that enough in last week and now this week. So let's just skip to the end, shall we? And there we go. All our peppers are chopped up and ready for the next step. Now for our celery, we're going to take our washed celery and just cut off the butts, the dirtiest part of it, get rid of those, and then we're just going to cut each individual stalk of celery in half or in thirds if you make a mistake, and just simply chop them. Kind of as even as you can, but celery is a pretty forgiving vegetable, so if you do screw up, it's not that big of a deal. Just get it into bite-sized pieces. Arguably the most important part of our gumbo is going to be our garlic. We have roughly anywhere between 6 and 8 medium to large size cloves of garlic. And now we need to be very, very gentle with garlic as it is a very delicate vegetable. So we're going to clean off our knife. We're going to set it just on top very carefully and BAM! Smash that sucker to pieces and chop it up as finely as possible. Garlic's not a very fragile vegetable at all, so be as rough as you need to be to get it chopped as finely as possible. Our last ingredient that's going to need chopping is going to be our smoked andouille sausage. Now you can use any kind of sausage that you'd like. If you can't find andouille or don't really like it, it doesn't matter. What we're going to do is cut it into coin-shaped pieces. It doesn't have to be super even or anything like that. You just want to make sure you're using a very high quality, fatty, smoky sausage. The fat is where the flavor in our gumbo is going to come from, so don't skimp on the fat. People often think that making a roux takes a massive amount of time, which is why they shy away from food that requires it. But this is a really easy way to make a roux in just under 15 minutes. We're going to add half a cup of flour and half a cup of any kind of oil to our Dutch oven, heated over just about medium-high heat. And we're just going to constantly stir. We're going to whisk that thing until it's totally combined. And you're just going to keep stirring and stirring and stirring. It's going to take anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes tops. And I'm sure you don't really want to listen to me as we take this thing all the way to a dark roux. So sit back, enjoy the music, and watch as we take this blonde roux all the way to the exact darkness that we need. When your roux is about as dark as a Hershey bar, you're going to want to add all of your vegetables except for the garlic, because garlic will burn easier than the rest of these. You're going to coat all these vegetables with your roux, get everything covered, and you're going to want to let it sit and simmer and meld together for about 5 to 10 minutes, no longer, so nothing burns. And then we're going to add the garlic right here, get all of that in there, and after this your kitchen is going to smell absolutely amazing. Get that all mixed in, and after that we're done with our vegetables and ready for the next step. This is a completely optional step, but before you add anything else, you're going to want to add about 8 ounces of beer. It can be any kind of beer, just so long as it's not a super light beer. I'm using Modelo because I like the flavor. And I cannot stress this enough. If you're not 21, don't use it. It'll be just fine without it, but don't use it if you're not of legal age. Now we're going to add our chicken stock. We're going to use 4 cups of high quality chicken stock. I can't stress this enough. Using a very high quality chicken stock makes all the difference, so please spring for the stock that's a couple of dollars more. Moving to our oft-empty second burner, we're going to oil up our preheated pan, and then add our chicken thighs, which have just been lightly seasoned with salt. We're not cooking these all the way through. We're just adding these to the pan right now to get some color on them, which is going to add flavor and depth to our gumbo. And we're going to flip them over, hope it's color. That's the color we're looking for. Okay, so they're not all going to be winners. The idea is just to get a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor into these chicken thighs. And once they've got some on both sides, we're going to add these back to our gumbo pot off screen. Once our thighs are in the pot, we're going to add our chopped andouille sausage that we prepared earlier and give that a nice stir with our wooden spoon. Break up anything that's still kind of together, get that all stirred around, and get it ready for spicing and finishing this sucker off. In terms of spices for our gumbo, we're going to add a little more kosher salt, a lot of fresh ground pepper, and I mean a lot of fresh ground pepper. That's 30-35 turns. And then we're going to add cayenne pepper, a decent amount of it, and smoked paprika. These are going to add some awesome flavors. And for some more, we're going to add a bay leaf or 2, a third if I can get it out, and we're going to stir all that to combine, and then we'll cover and simmer on medium-low heat for anywhere between 1.5 hours to 3-ish hours. Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? Let's pour it over rice, and let's get a really dramatic shot of it.